Hung jury. Dalia Dippolito walking out of court with a mistrial after being caught on camera, allegedly hiring someone to kill her husband. Now her ex is speaking out about that bombshell decision.
To be honest, I'm real surprised.
The prosecutor vowing to try her again for a third time.
Live in Times Square, this is GMA with Robin Roberts, George Stephanopoulos, and Michael Strahan.
Stunning news in the Dalia Dippolito trial. The judge declared a mistrial after jurors couldn't agree to convict her of trying to hire a hitman to kill her husband. And Amy, another surprise, it wasn't a lone holdout. They were split right down the middle.
Yeah, pretty stunning, George. And Dippolito's defense team took a different approach this time around in court, focusing on what they say the police did wrong during the investigation. And guess what? It seems to have worked for now.
To the judge, we, the jury, after further deliberation, still cannot reach a unanimous verdict.
A bombshell announcement in the murder-for-hire case against Dalia Dippolito. The jury deadlocked.
I must declare a mistrial.
Now the man at the center of the alleged murder-for-hire plot is speaking out.
I have to be honest, I'm real surprised.
Michael Dippolito, the now ex-husband of the woman caught on tape, allegedly hiring someone to kill him in 2009. The supposed hitman, actually an undercover police officer.
I'm positive, like 5,000% sure.
Dalia's attorneys attacked the Boynton Beach Police Department for filming her conversation with the undercover cop, claiming the department was more interested in starring in the reality TV show Cops instead of properly investigating the case. The police also came under fire for telling Dalia her husband was dead, knowing he was actually alive.
Okay, I'm sorry to tell you, man, he's been killed.
In 2011, Dalia was convicted in just 3 hours, sentenced to 20 years in prison. But the case was overturned on appeal in 2014, and now she'll go back on house arrest, where she spent the last 2 years, prosecutors vowing to try her a third time.
It's mildly humorous to me, but listen, I wish her all the luck in the world. I'm trying to move past this. It's just a little hard when you have to do this every other year.
Dippolito has always maintained her innocence, telling me she was indeed acting on those now infamous tapes.
Did you want your husband dead?
No, absolutely not.
One juror who didn't believe her story, voting to find her guilty, telling ABC News it was real and she thought he was dead, and this is what she wanted. State prosecutors are already vowing to take another shot at convicting Dippolito, who remains under house arrest. The judge says he will hold a hearing in January on how to proceed. George?
Okay, a lot to talk about here with Dan Abrams, Nancy Grace. Thanks for coming in this morning. Dan, let me begin with you. You know, it seemed like a real surprise. Not only was there a hung jury, but it didn't seem close to a conviction.
This is one of the great legal head scratchers, right? Because this is one of those cases we always looked at and almost laughed at the defense, because if it, I was in a reality show defense. We were all in cahoots together. Me and the person you heard there, it was all fake. The problem is that this time around, that's not what they argued. So the jury doesn't know that the first time they argued something completely different than what they're arguing in this case. And, you know, when you look at it from 10,000 feet like we can, there's something troubling about that, right? The fact that she gets to say one thing in one trial, which is, oh yeah, I thought I was on a reality show. And in this case, it's, no, we were all victims of the police. And this time, at least to some degree, it worked.
Is that what made the difference, Nancy?
It may have made the difference, but what is really burning me up is to attack the police because they tell her after they stage a death scene that he's dead, and instead of her saying, "What, they killed my husband? This was a reality script. How could they kill my husband?" No, she never even says, "What happened? He's dead?" And then not once, if you look at those tapes, when they arrest her, when they bring her in, does she say, "This was a reality show"?
But that
script?
wasn't her defense this time,
Michael.
Nancy. That wasn't her defense this time around. It wasn't a reality show this time.
What I am saying is, look at the videos, and also not once did it come up about allegations that she tried to poison him at an earlier date with a Starbucks chai tea. Not only that, if you look at the documents, the police documents where they tapped her phone and looked at her texts, she is still contacting her hooker clients, trying to set up dates up to July before this happens. All she wanted was his money and his townhouse and him dead. And now somehow it's the police fault.
So did the prosecutors blow it?
You know, look, did they blow it? I think they're going to do it differently the next time around, right? I think they're going to end up trying to undermine the credibility of the informant more than they did this time around, right? Don't you agree, Nancy, that they basically didn't realize?
I got a question for you, Dan.
Yes, and Nancy.
Talking about a criminal head scratcher, this girl is on house arrest. How did she jump up and get pregnant on house arrest with her mother, and then she uses her baby as a defense at trial? Let her go home to her baby and her family. What?
I'm not going to explain to you how she could get pregnant while on house arrest. It happens with teens in homes all the time. But you know that's a separate question.
She's only supposed to get out to go to church, people.
Yeah. I do think, though, that as a legal matter, what is going to be critical in this next case is undermining because you have this witness who comes forward who was the informant, right? Who basically says the police were pressuring me. I didn't want to do this. The police were pushing me.
You pressure every confidential informant. What criminal or confidential informant wants to be part of a police investigation? Nobody. Nobody wants to snitch. They're afraid they'll find out. But it's not just the ex-lover, it's the cop too. She told both of them that. Both of them, there's no doubt about it. But if you look at her behavior, so what I always come back to is how she acted at the time of her arrest. To me, that tells it all.
And we will be back in January. Thank you guys both very much. Michael.